Hello, welcome to another edition of Crop Life Retail Week. I'm Eric Sfiligoj, editor of Crop Life and Crop Life Iron magazines. Here today with Lara Sowinski, and we're both back where we respectively belong. Laura, welcome home. I hope you had a good trip.
Thank you. It was a great trip. Got to travel with our colleague, Eric Davis, and we made some stops in California, checking in with Grow West, just west of Sacramento, and GS Long, another ag retailer up in Yakima, Washington area, along with a really nice visit with Mineral, the Google X offshoot. So we'll have more reporting on our visits with those folks in the coming weeks. But yeah, great trip. Great to be home.
Yeah, and so folks, if you're wondering, of course, this is a part of our ongoing series all year celebrating Crop Life 100's 40th anniversary in the magazine. So in the May edition of Crop Life, we will have a story talking about independent retailers and these visits that Laura just did and I did earlier in February will be a part of both of that story. So look for that. But for April, you could look for the story on the cooperatives. That one should be hitting mailboxes very soon because I know I got our first copies in office this morning as we were just getting ready to record this video. So it looks pretty nice. So
Excellent.
Shameless plug, I know.
Why not?
All right. Well, and speaking of previews, if you will, I know this is an important week for those of us who follow agriculture. USDA is planning on releasing its crop projections for 2023. The report's going to be released on March 31st, which is Friday of this week's video. Actually, this video will be airing on April 1st, and no, that's no fooling. We're recording the video earlier in the week. So I haven't seen the actual crop report yet, but I know I'm not sure what to expect, Laura. I know I was reading one report over the weekend that was predicting that acreage for corn and soybean was going to be almost dead even, about 90 million acres for each crop. And then I ran across a report this morning that said no. They're projecting corn would actually be up to about 92, 93 million acres and soybean would drop accordingly. So not sure what to expect, but I'll be very, very curious like everyone else to see the final report numbers. And of course, we'll talk about that in next week's video.
Yeah, that sounds great. Looking forward to it. And interesting that you're getting kind of mixed signals as to what we might expect. So I was going to ask you about that if you'd heard anything more definitive, but yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I was going to say, I mean, some of the analysts are basing this on surveys of growers for their projections, and other folks, I guess, are just going with some past experience and the fact that last year soybean acreage was bigger than corn, therefore corn should come back this year and be bigger than soybean. So, but again, we will see, and we'll talk about this more at length next week. So. But I do have some definitive reports to share with our audience. Number one, I guess it has been a very, very, very good month here as we almost are over with March as we're recording this for U.S. corn exports. Our friends in China have been buying like crazy. I guess uncertainty with the Ukraine situation and improved shipping conditions in the United States on the waterways is helping keep corn prices reasonable. So according to USDA, on March 24th, China bought 204,000 tons of U.S. corn, and that was the 8th such purchase made by China in only 9 days' time. So, I guess the corn is flying out of the U.S. and going over to China because the price is right, the conditions are right, and the Chinese are not quite certain about getting a supply from the folks in the Ukraine. So good news for U.S. farmers.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. That is good news.
Yeah.
That's USDA, just agricultural exports in general, always a nice bright spot when you look at overall trade volumes, U.S. So yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, and I know that before we came on camera, since I mentioned that, shipping conditions were improving in the United States, which is helping this effort. But you had some update, I guess, on the longshoreman situation out on the West Coast.
Yeah, for sure. We've been talking about the negotiations between the ILWU, International Longshore and Warehouse Union, and the Pacific Maritime folks, the waterfront employers, if you will. The contract expired last year, July 1st. Talks started in May. Everyone was hopeful that perhaps an agreement for the new contract would be reached, et cetera. But, we've been following it. Nothing's happened. Obviously, every month that goes by without a contract, a little more worrisome. Last Friday, March 24th, a group of about 200 shippers, logistics providers, stakeholders in the supply chain on U.S. West Coast sent a letter to the Biden administration. Well, this group included, for instance, like National Retail Federation, American Trucking Associations, U.S. Chamber of Commerce, urging a little more help from the administration, perhaps appointing a new lead person for the negotiations to try and reach an agreement. We mentioned recently that a lot of cargo has already been diverted to East Coast, primarily some to Gulf Coast, but in anticipation of what may turn into a more contentious negotiation. In fact, there's been accusations the last week or so that the longshoremen have been not staggering their lunch times, and that's causing delays. So, little kind of annoyances like that, minor perhaps, but, unfortunately can turn into, again, just not helpful in terms of both sides earnestly looking to reach an agreement. So we'll see. But yeah, unfortunately, still no agreement, nothing positive on the table right now. So we'll follow it. We'll keep you all posted as we hear further.
All right. Well, speaking of no agreement, thank you for that segue. Because one other thing I guess we've been following pretty closely since the end of last year is the whole debate between the U.S. and Mexico regarding BIOTECH corn and the ability for U.S. growers to send that corn over the border to Mexico. Again, there's been a lot of back and forth, a lot of accusations, but it sounds like we may be getting to some hint of a resolution, if you will. I ran across a report that U.S. Trade Representative named Catherine Tay had been gone before the Senate Finance Committee and was talking about the situation. And she said that this situation would not, quote unquote, go on indefinitely. I guess there's a 30-day period for technical consultations between these two nations, and the clock for that 30 days started on March 7th. So on April 7th, little ways out from now, about a week, I guess that 30-day period will be over, and the U.S. will have the right at that point, without an agreement, to file a formal complaint with the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. And then a panel of trade experts will be appointed to help resolve the dispute. So again, maybe by the end of April, early May, fingers crossed, there will be some resolution or at least some hint of certainty on the horizon. So everyone will know where this situation will end up going next.
Yeah. The trade dispute, settlement board, I believe, what they come back with will be binding. Not that it can't be challenged, but I think that would, kind of be the word, if you will, that people will adhere to. So
yeah, it certainly would be nice to get this all solved before harvest rolls around. So.
Yeah, that's it. Always good to address uncertainty in the marketplace.
Yes, amen. Well, speaking of uncertainty, how about some certainty? That is what we will end our segment with. We always do. It is time, Laura, for Fun with Numbers.
Wow, I'm still like
I know you had such a good
Yeah.
chance last week. So
Right.
hopefully this week I'm throwing you a softball. We shall see. I say pay attention because there'll be a clue here where I'm going with this. So
Okay. Well,
all
what do
right.
you have this week?
This number this week, actually, it's a negative number. I don't know
Okay.
if we've ever done negative numbers, but we're doing one this week. It is minus 39%.
Okay.
Minus 39%. So is minus 39%, is that A, the projected decline in soybean acreage for 2023? Is it B, the projected decline in corn exports to Mexico if no resolution is reached? Is it C, the projected decline in U.S. farm bankruptcies for 2022? Or is it D, the projected decline in my bank account this month after paying my car insurance, tax preparer, and C, income taxes for 2022?
Ooh, I believe it's B. Why not?
No, it's not. It actually, the correct answer is C.
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 Okay, got it.
Yes.
Wow. All
Yeah,
right.
projected 39% projected decline in U.S. farm bankruptcies. This came from the American Farm Bureau Federation. Farm bankruptcies go under something called Chapter 12, which was became permanent in 2005.
Okay.
And in 2022, there were only 169 filings, which was the lowest since Chapter 12 became a permanent thing in 2005. And a far cry from when you had 595 bankruptcies that were filed back in 2019, which was the third highest on record. So yes, the number of bankruptcies for the year down, from 21 to 22, down 39%. So
Got it. Wow. Got a little losing streak shaping up here. I need to.
missed 2 in a row. Yeah, your average, you're losing the average that you were so. Again, even the baseball players strike out like 3 out of 10 times. So come on.
Yeah, I'm just
Not
in a
that-
little funk,
Yeah, that's all right. We'll you get them next week. So
All right. Good.
all right. Well, that's all we have for this week, everyone. Thanks for joining myself and Lara Sowinski on behalf of us and everyone at Crop Life. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you again soon. If you have questions or comments about today's episode of Retail Week, contact us by email or Twitter, or type your message in the comment section below. Your feedback is important to us. We will try our best to address your thoughts in next week's episode, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.